In this video, we're going to be discussing the brand new Boucher GR-SG-161-T. It's a fantastic maple OM guitar from Boucher, and we're going to tell you all the specs on it, what it sounds like, what it's like, and we're even going to play a little bit of a tone sample for you, and do all of that in the upcoming video. Stick around.
She left at home her baby son. He cried and begged her not to leave him.
This is a new OM guitar with a price point of $53.99. It does have torrefied Adirondack red spruce that is in the quadruple A rating.
Can't get any more A's than that, I don't think.
It does have torrefied curly maple or flamed maple, depending on how you want to talk about it. It does have that Boucher South American mahogany neck with an ebony head plate, so it makes that logo pop, as well as maple binding. That is not torrefied, by the way. Gives it a little bit of a different color.
White.
Does have the solid ebony fretboard as well as bridge. It does have a two-way truss rod.
I like to call it a dual action myself.
Well, or a hot rod, you know what I'm saying?
I don't know.
Anyway, it does have a tusk nut and a bone nut and saddle, which seems to be all the rage.
A tusk nut and a bone saddle, not a bone nut and saddle.
You
said a tusk nut and a bone nut and saddle.
Okay, it's a tusk nut and a bone saddle. And that's kind of the thing, I guess, that's going to happen from now on Boucher guitars. I don't know, it seems to be. Anyway, open gear Goto tuners that are in the gold-plated variety. That's what that color is, Jerry, in case you were wondering. As well as forward-shifted Addy spruce bracing, X bracing on this, just, you know, which is standard. That's kind of what makes their guitars sound so darn good. That's what it is. High gloss finish on the body and a satin on the neck. Does come with the TKL tweed case.
With the Boucher emblazoned on it.
That's kind of their thing. It does have the 1 3/4 nut width, which is what all the SGs have. And now, honestly, so do all of the Bluegrass Gooses now. I don't know if you know that. They changed that
I do now. That's why I tune into this channel.
Anyway, we're going to get into what makes this such a cool guitar. A little while back, Guillaume called me up and he said, John, we're working with maple guitars. And I'm just like, good for you. I just didn't have any excitement for that.
You weren't in the market for a maple?
No, maple's one of those woods that's just like, when I think maple, I think two things. I think it's got to be a jumbo in order to kind of tame down all that bright balance or create a balance with all that bright high end. Or, you know, I think jumbos I think Gibson sounding guitars, not a ton of sustain, just has just this kind of brightness to it. And it just didn't really excite me all that much. And he's like, no, John, seriously, we're playing with this stuff and I think it's going to knock you out. And I'm like, all right. So then I wait a little bit longer and I see this video from our buddy JP Cormier. They had the PS versions of those guitars. And then they came to, both Robin and Guillaume came down and hung out with us at the IBMA booth and said, I think I've got a couple of really cool prototypes that I think you're going to like, John. And we played with it a little bit more and I was like, all right, you're starting to sell me on this. It definitely is there. And then they went further and now they're into the torrefied versions of those, which again, makes sense. This is what Boucher has been doing for a long period of time, using the thermocure or torrefied variation. Yeah, the process. So, been very popular.
You guys are just late to the show. Mandolins have been maple back size for a long time.
That is true.
And fiddles.
And yeah, and
it must be something about the larger body just didn't translate as well normally to a maple, unless you went to that really big body, because then you were looking for just making up some of the difference, getting some of that low end in by a bigger body, which this is like the opposite. Like this is a small body maple.
Yeah.
Tone, John, what would you say on tone of this guitar?
Again, what I'm finding so surprising with these guitars is they get in tune very easy. There is always that top sparkle that we expect to come out of maple, yet again, I don't know what they're doing now. They are definitely warming that up, making it much more balanced. But the attack, that's one thing I'm really, really surprised with these maple guitars. They just jump out. So in that way, I'm really a big fan. I think I like the Dread a little bit better, but I do think the OM.
That's your guitar.
That's what I like. I like the extra depth of that body.
Have you tried finger picking it all on this one?
But that's what I was going to say. When I sat there and tried to play around with this, there's all the stuff there. It's all balanced around. So the low end is big, yet I can hear it because it does come out pretty strong. So I'm impressed with what they're able to kind of do out there. I think it's still missing a little bit of that chunky mid-range that we've seen in on some of the OMs, but I really do like it a lot. So in this case, I'm going to give it a 4.75.
Ooh, that's a
4
good
and 3/4.
score. I was actually, I was going to go a little lower than that, but it's not far. 4.5 stars. We're getting stars now. Giving it 4.5 points on this one. I think it's got an incredible tone. I got to play that one on the last tune that we filmed together, and you know how I feel. I like the smaller body guitars anyway. This one had a lot of punch to it. Just kind of jumps out of the guitar while you're strumming it. So I'm going to give it a 4.5.
Setup and playability, we talked about this last time. They're doing a perfect setup. This is an SG, so it is definitely set to be played super easy, very comfortably, and they definitely nailed that all the way for an OM. This is probably the way I would want it to be. It's a little bit, when I want to hammer on with it with a flat pick, it's a little bit too low, but for an OM, I think it's set up perfectly. I'm going to give it a 5.
Also a 5 here.
There you go. Sounds great. Build quality, we've talked about this as well. Boucher is one of the top builders out there, and I definitely think they stand with anybody as far as their build quality. Right now, the accuracy is all there. I'm not seeing any flubs or dubs or anything that they're trying to hide.
Yeah, it's you would have to spend, I don't know if you spent an hour with a magnifying glass that you would find anything. It is just a finely built instrument with no flaws that I can find on it, so I don't see a reason to give it anything less than a 5.
All right, we'll give you 5 stars. The looks. This is a back and forth. I think you've seen this a bunch. I am seeing this on the mandolin side. Bourgeois came out with a fully torrefied maple, and it hits some markets. Doesn't hit others. I personally like it.
The stuff you get with maple, the back of that thing is just incredible, like the flaming on the back, and even the sides, it's got like really distinct grains that stand out because of the torrefication, but then also that cross feathering that you get out of maple. It just catches the light in a way that maple or mahogany and rosewood don't seem to be able to reproduce. It's almost a koa kind of appearance to that, striping going both directions.
Especially in this, it is a Grand Reserve package, so this is their
Premium.
Premium woods. This is the stuff from Robin's personal kind of collection, and definitely stands out well. So I'm mixed on this. I like it. I don't know. I personally would like. I think I just have the stigma of maple, and maybe that's what it is. I'm just having a hard time with that. So I'm gonna give it a 4.5. I like it. I don't love it.
My personal appearance, I would give it a 5. That's
There you go.
my style, but it might be the mandolin player in me.
There you go. That's why we're here to talk about what we personally like, not what we think you guys are going to like. Does it pass the Shoppe Sustainable? We do know that maple is a very sustainable wood. It sticks around quite easily. We don't have exact numbers from them, but I'm assuming that it should be pretty easily found.
Yeah, and as always, if we haven't yet confirmed how they are harvesting the tone woods, we're just going to go on the side of planting 5 trees. What does it hurt to plant 4 more trees than we normally would? So we're going to say it probably does pass the sustainable test, but we're going to plant 5 trees for this one.
Yeah. So there you go. Overall value, again, I think they're really onto something. There's a lot of guitar that is happening right now with Boucher, and especially these maple guitars. The price point is not crazy. They're not throwing everything that they can at it, and I think it's going to pay off for them very, very well. So again, overall value, I think this deserves an easily 5.
I agree. I think you can't find a better quality guitar in the same price range, or one that just really stands out above this as value. So I'm going to say this gets a 5 out of 5. So we've talked about our score. We've talked about the history of the guitar. Who is this guitar built for, John? What would you say the ideal customer is?
I think this is built for an OM style player that wants something.
Way to go out on a limb, John.
wants something a little bit different. I am really impressed with the amount of sustain that they're getting out of the maple, yet it's got highs that nothing else has. It's got just a little bit extra.
And it's different enough from like if you already had an OM and a maple and a mahogany and a rosewood, this is a different enough tone that it still has a place if you were trying to get different tonal properties out of your guitar collection. It kind of fills that void a little bit.
I think it also gives you an advantage if you are a small body player in that we know that high frequencies create perceived volume. And since you have that extra top end and sizzle, I think it cuts more. I think it gives a little bit more of a perceived
So what would you describe that
volume.
tone?
Gosh, again, it's a maple guitar that doesn't sound like a maple guitar. It's an OM.
It's taking some of the favorite things you have about maple, and then also adding some of the favorite things you like about maybe a rosewood or.
Yeah, it's funny kind of because these guitars really are kind of breaking the rules. I think they're easily accepted if anybody had their eyes closed to be listening to it and going, this sounds like a great guitar. And I don't know that they would necessarily go, it's a mahogany, it's a rosewood, it's a, walnut, whatever it is you're thinking of. I don't think you're going to be able to just go, that's what that sound is. I think it's unique enough that it's new, it's different. It's just, again, I think it's just got a new balance that is just something that needs to be played to kind of understand.
Yeah, I agree. All right, John, we've talked enough for all the folks that tune into this channel just to hear us talk. For the rest of the folks that want to hear what the guitar sounds like, why don't you give us a tone sample?
Let's do it. Well, I'm pretty impressed with this, Jeremy. I'm really excited to see what's going to continue. I've heard that they're going to come out with a Bluegrass Goose version of these maple guitars. This has definitely been an experiment that I think they're really kind of honing in on, and I think it's going to be, eventually, it'll catch on. I really think so.
I think you're right. It's just another option for a good tone wood. Looks great, sounds great. I think it's pretty exciting to see what they come out with next.
We love Boucher guitars, and we've even done a video not too long ago that I think you might like, which is going to be linked right here. This is the rosewood versus mahogany debate. Which one sounds better?
Finally settled it.
Yeah, no, we did not. But they were both Boucher guitars, and you get to kind of hear the difference between those two major tonal woods, and now you get to hear the maple to go along with it. So make sure to click on that, and I hope we see you again for another video here at the Acoustic Shop. I've had a whole bunch of fun. Jeremy, have you had fun?
I've had a blast.
Oh my goodness.
I'll be back next week. Okay. See you guys then.